Alright, so we're going to be moving on to the next one, which this is the main part of algebra, which is solving equations. So solving for some sort of variable. So we looked at simplifying expressions earlier, and now we're going to take those expressions and then we're going to set them equal to something and then solve them for a given number. This is something that you've probably done in Algebra 1, and it should be, again, mostly review here. So again, solving for these, what your goal is to do is you want to get all the variables onto one side. Okay, so you want to move all the same variables on the same side, and then move everything else to the other side. So as you see here, we have the z's on both sides. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to move them to the other side. And since this is an adding or subtracting, okay, we're going to do the opposite. This is a positive, so that means we're going to subtract z on both sides. So subtract 5z. And since it's 12, we want to move this 12 to the other side. So we're going to subtract 12 on both sides. And so when we do this to both sides, we're still going to simplify, giving us 8z minus 5z gets us 3z. And then negative 21 minus 12 gets us a negative 33. And then from there, we've got the multiplication here. So 3 times z, we want to get the z by itself, so since it's multiplied, we're going to multiply it by its reciprocal. Multiply this 3z by the coefficient's reciprocal, which would be 1/3. So it'd be negative 33 times 1/3, which gets you negative 11, and that would be your answer. Now, to check to see if you've got this correct, you're just going to take this and you're going to plug it into each of these z's. When you plug them into both of them, you should see that it comes up with your actual number. Okay, and that's a way to always check to see if your answers work. And you want to do this consistently. Always get into the routine of checking your work, making sure that it works out. Because if you make a small mistake and you don't check your work, you think, hey, I did everything right, and you just move on. Well, if you made a small mistake, what's going to happen is when you check it, you can go, oh, hey, when I plugged in, this number in, it didn't work. That means I probably have a mistake somewhere. Okay. So now looking at the next one, the 2 times y minus 3 plus z equals 70. So this is kind of like, when you're solving for a variable, it's kind of like the reverse of PEMDAS. Okay, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, where you do adding and subtracting last for simplifying. For these, you probably are going to do those first. Okay, so anything that's adding and subtracting, you're going to move to the other side. So as you see here, we've got this 6. We're going to subtract 6 on both sides, move it to the other side. That gets us a 2 times y minus 3 equals 64. And then we have this 2 being multiplied, so we're going to divide by 2, getting us y minus 3 is equal to 32. And then we're going to add 3. So that gets us y equals 35. Right. 35. Okay. So now that we have 35, we can check. We can plug in the 35 into the other one. 35 minus 3 is 32. Times 2 is 64. Plus 6 is 70. Now that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is that you could distribute first. You can distribute this 2 into both, and then you can simplify. That would get you 2y minus 6 plus 6 equals 70. This case looks like it's easier. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0, getting you 2y is equal to 70. And then you divide by 2. So as you see, either way would have worked, got you the same number. It just depends on how you wanted to solve it. Okay. But as you see, it gets us 35. And that's solving. So you want to move everything over that's not a part of that variable onto the other side. Okay. Now, let's say in a lot of things in life and a lot of sciences that you might want to go into, you'll be dealing with different formulas. Area formulas, volume formulas, speed formulas, formulas to find, when to maximize your profit and everything. And what's going to happen is you're going to be given a general formula with, this is where this variable goes, this is where this variable goes. And what you're going to have to do is that you're going to have to be able to move everything around without actually having numbers into it. So in this case, we've got this formula, which is the area of a trapezoid. Okay, so the area of the trapezoid is equal to 1/2 times the height of the trapezoid multiplied by the sum of the two bases. And what you're going to want to do here is you want to get the B1 by itself. That's what we want to solve for. So this would be me saying, okay, I've got an area of 18, I've got a height of 3, and one base is 2. What is the other base? And what I can do is I can plug all those numbers in and I can solve it to see what the other base has to be for me to get a base of 18. Okay, you can think of this as that if you're building something, or you have a certain, thinking of the area of a figure, if you have a certain area you have to fill out, you can use this process to help you identify, okay, this is how long it must be for it to fit. And so this is important. And it's the same process as before, it's just you have actual number, you have letters instead of numbers. So here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to work on the outside first. So the 1/2, the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2, so we're going to multiply both sides by 2, and we're going to multiply both sides by 1 over h. So 2 over h onto both sides. And then after that, that gives us 2a over h is equal to b1 plus b2. And then since we want to solve for b1, we move b2 to the other side. So it would be 2a over h minus b2. And that gives us b1. So now if we have the area, the height, and the base, we just plug those in and we can find the other base. Okay. So it's kind of us simplifying this formula, making us find it. Alright? Okay, so now the rectangle is twice as long as its width. The perimeter is 48. What's the dimension? So to find the perimeter of a rectangle, okay, perimeter of a rectangle is 48. To find the perimeter, you add up all the sides. Now the sides opposite each other are always the same. So if we say the width is x, okay, that means the other one's x. How long would the other sides have to be? They're twice as long as the width, so that would be 2x. So now to find the formula of it, or the equation, we'd go 2x plus 2x plus x equals 48. So there is your equation. Simplify this, gets you 6x is equal to 48. And then from there you can solve. Divide both sides by 6, and that gets you 8. So so your x is 8, so this would be 8, and then the other side would be 16. Okay. So with these, you want to read, make sure you write up the formula, and then solve it from there. So you want to make sure you write your equation. It'll make it faster than you doing guess and check. Alright, so your IRAT for this one. Solve these two. So solve for r on the first one, solve for x for the second one. And the bottom one, it's an age problem dealing with like the one that we just dealt with. Okay. So the sum of Sam and Anna's age is 32. Sam is 3 times older than Anna. What are their ages? Okay. Make sure you write the equation and then solve it. That's what I want to be seeing. I want to be able to see you guys have the equation written out.